The AI boom appears to live inside software, data centers, and glowing racks of processors. But those processors begin with machines most people never see. ASML built the machines that much of advanced chip manufacturing depends on. To understand the economics of AI, we have to follow that dependency back to its physical source. This is not a story about one magical device printing an entire chip. It is a story about a production system that solves several nearly impossible problems at once. The system must control light, matter, motion, heat, contamination, and computation with extraordinary precision. If one part drifts, the pattern on the silicon can fail. That creates the first paradox. Digital progress depends on an industrial process that is intensely physical. Leading AI processors may be designed with software, but their most intricate features still have to be patterned onto wafers. For critical layers in the most advanced chips, manufacturers rely on extreme ultraviolet lithography, or EUV. Today, ASML is the sole commercial supplier of EUV lithography systems. That position is often reduced to the word monopoly. The reality is more specific. Other companies supply lithography equipment, especially deep ultraviolet systems. ASML's unusual position concerns commercial EUV. And even EUV is only one part of a much larger chip-making process. So how did one company in the Netherlands become so difficult to replace? The answer begins with the limits of light. But it does not end there. The deeper advantage came from turning extreme physics into a repeatable industrial service, supported by a network that no participant could reproduce alone. Lithography works by projecting a pattern onto a light-sensitive material covering a silicon wafer. The patterned layer is processed, then the cycle repeats. A modern chip requires many such steps. Each layer must align with earlier layers, even as the features become smaller and the acceptable error becomes narrower. Deep ultraviolet, or DUV, lithography remains essential. It patterns layers across the chip industry, and advanced chips still use DUV for many layers. EUV does not replace every exposure. It is added where shorter wavelength light can simplify some of the most difficult patterning steps on critical layers. Here the language can be misleading. EUV light has a wavelength of 13.5 nanometers. That number describes the light, not a commercial chip node. ASML lists a 13-nanometer resolution for its 0.33 numerical aperture NXE platform. Node names and optical resolution are different measures, so they should never be treated as interchangeable. But shortening the wavelength created a stranger problem. EUV light is absorbed by air and by most materials. Ordinary lenses cannot guide it through a familiar optical path. The system must operate under vacuum and use multi-layer mirrors to reflect the light toward the wafer. Every reflection loses energy, so the original source must be exceptionally powerful. ASML's source begins with microscopic droplets of molten tin. A laser pulse first prepares a droplet. A second, more powerful pulse strikes it and creates a plasma that emits EUV light. ASML describes this sequence occurring as often as 50,000 times per second. The machine must repeat it while controlling debris, heat, timing, and position. Think about what that requires. A moving droplet must meet a laser at precisely the right instant. The emitted light must be collected, shaped, reflected, and delivered through vacuum. Then, a wafer stage must move at high speed while preserving nanometer-scale accuracy. None of those problems waits politely for the others to be solved. That is the first major reveal. ASML's product is not simply a better camera for silicon. It is a synchronized factory inside a factory. The commercial achievement was making many unstable physical processes behave like one dependable production tool, then helping customers keep that tool productive over years of operation. And this is where physics becomes an organization problem. ASML does not manufacture every critical component itself. It acts as the system architect and integrator. It defines interfaces, combines subsystems, calibrates their behavior, and carries responsibility for the performance of the complete machine at a customer's site. The optics illustrate the scale of that coordination. ZEISS supplies the projection optics used in ASML's EUV systems. For high-NA EUV, ZEISS says the projection optics contain more than 40,000 parts and weigh about 12 metric tons. That is one optical subsystem. not the mass or component count of the entire lithography system. Those parts must function as a unified optical instrument. Mirror surfaces, coatings, mounts, sensors, thermal controls, and software all influence the image arriving at the wafer. Precision is not stored in a single secret component. It emerges from thousands of relationships that have to remain stable under production conditions. The mirror, however, is only the beginning. The light source depends on specialized laser and plasma technology. The stages depend on precision motion and metrology. The machine also needs vacuum systems, contamination control, computational correction, and software that converts measurements into adjustments. A weakness anywhere can reduce usable output. This supplier network is easy to misunderstand. Calling it an ASML machine is commercially correct, but it can hide the distributed knowledge inside it. ASML's advantage includes knowing which partners can meet unusual specifications, how their modules interact, and how to improve the whole system without breaking those interactions. That knowledge accumulates through repeated delivery. A design may work in a laboratory, yet struggle in a high-volume fab. Installation exposes transport and alignment challenges. Operation reveals wear, contamination, and calibration behavior. Service data then feeds back into engineering. Each deployed system becomes part of a learning process that newcomers cannot instantly purchase. Now the central question changes. If the machine is assembled from outside expertise, why can another integrator not simply buy similar parts? Because the parts are not commodities. The tolerances are interdependent, and the supplier relationships took decades to mature. Recreating the list of components would not recreate the operating system around them. Logistics deepen the challenge. Large modules travel separately and must be installed inside highly controlled facilities. Engineers then align and qualify the system with the customer's production environment. The delivery is not complete when hardware reaches the loading dock. It continues through installation, calibration, process development, maintenance, and upgrades. This turns technical complexity into a business model. ASML earns revenue when it sells new systems, but its relationship with a customer continues afterward. Installed machines require service, field support, replacement parts, performance improvements, and options that extend their productive value. The installed base therefore creates recurring operational work alongside new equipment sales. The financial consequence appears clearly in ASML's 2025 results. The company reported €32.7 billion in total net sales, €9.6 billion in net income, and a 52.8% gross margin. Those are company-wide figures. They should not be described as the revenue, profit, or margin of EUV alone. System sales accounted for €24.5 billion. Services and field options contributed another €8.2 billion. That split matters because it shows two connected engines, shipping increasingly capable equipment and supporting a growing population of machines already operating in customer fabs. The unit mix makes the same point from another angle. ASML recognized sales of 535 systems in 2025. The total included 48 EUV systems, 279 DUV systems, and 208 metrology and inspection systems. EUV carries strategic weight, but the corporate machine is broader than EUV. Those numbers also correct a common simplification. ASML does not depend on selling only the newest platform. DUV remains a large business because chip manufacturing needs many kinds of patterning. Metrology and inspection help customers measure and control production. Service revenue grows from equipment that may remain economically useful for years. But high margins do not mean simple economics. Building these systems requires sustained research, specialized suppliers, long customer planning cycles, and the ability to support equipment across the world. The margin reflects differentiated capability, yet the capability must be continually renewed. A technical delay can affect deliveries, customer schedules, and future capacity. The customer also carries significant risk. A lithography system is valuable only when it produces acceptable wafers at useful throughput. That means availability, yield, overlay, and process integration matter alongside optical resolution. Customers do not buy a scientific demonstration. They buy a tool that must fit into a disciplined manufacturing line. This is why service is strategically important, not merely convenient. Field engineers observe the machine under real production pressure. Upgrades can improve performance without replacing the full installed system. The supplier learns from the fleet, while customers preserve the value of assets already embedded in their fabs, and that creates a reinforcing loop. More installed systems generate more operating experience. More experience improves service, software, and future designs. Better performance makes the platform more valuable to customers and suppliers. The result is not an impenetrable wall, but it raises the time, capital, and coordination required to challenge the system. The next machine raises those stakes. ASML's established NXE family uses a numerical aperture of 0.33 and lists a 13-nanometer resolution. Its EXE High-NA platform increases numerical aperture to 0.55 and lists an 8-nanometer resolution. Again, these optical specifications are not commercial node names. Higher numerical aperture can project smaller features, but it forces changes across the system. The optics become larger and more demanding. The exposure field changes. Masks, resist, computational methods, metrology, and customer processes must adapt. High-NA is not a drop-in lens upgrade. It is another coordinated transition across an industrial ecosystem. ASML delivered the first High-NA system in December 2023. In April 2024, Intel said installation of the first commercial High-NA EUV scanner had been completed at its research and development site in Hillsboro, Oregon, and calibration was beginning. Intel described the full system as weighing 165 metric tons. Those dates show progress, but they also set a boundary. Delivery and installation do not prove universal high-volume production. High-NA remains a platform being qualified and deployed through customer roadmaps. Different chip makers can adopt it on different schedules, for different layers, after their own technical and economic evaluations. Here is where the AI connection becomes concrete. Advanced AI accelerators depend on leading chip manufacturing, and leading manufacturing uses lithography at several levels. EUV supports critical layers in many advanced designs, while DUV supports many others. The relationship is a chain of dependencies, not a claim that one machine produces an entire AI chip. If demand for advanced computing expands, chip makers must add and improve manufacturing capability, lithography capacity, tool availability, installation, qualification, and service can influence how quickly that capability becomes productive. ASML therefore sits upstream from the visible AI market, where industrial lead times are measured very differently from software release cycles. That upstream position creates a bottleneck, but the word needs care. A bottleneck does not mean ASML alone decides global chip output. Fabs also depend on process technology, other equipment, materials, skilled labor, electricity, water, packaging, and customer demand. It means one difficult stage has unusually few immediate substitutes and can constrain plans at the margin. The same precision matters in geopolitics. Dutch export controls apply authorization requirements to specified advanced semiconductor manufacturing technologies and destinations. Licenses are reviewed case by case. That is not the same as a blanket ban on every ASML machine, every destination, or every form of lithography. Export policy can still change commercial possibilities. A restricted configuration may require a license, and a denied license can prevent a shipment. Yet the product portfolio and the rules are differentiated. Treating all DUV and EUV equipment as one category erases the technical details that determine what is controlled. Dependence, then, is not control over every outcome. ASML must operate within Dutch law, serve demanding customers, coordinate suppliers, and keep improving systems whose economics depend on reliability. Governments can shape access. Customers can alter schedules. Technical alternatives can emerge. The company's position is powerful precisely because it remains an active engineering challenge. This also explains why replication is so slow. Money can fund factories and research, but it cannot instantly compress decades of experiments, failed designs, supplier learning, customer feedback, and field service. Patents matter. So do people, process memory, testing infrastructure, and trust between organizations that must invest before the next platform is proven. By now, the apparent contradiction has resolved. ASML does not own every step in chip production, and it does not build every component inside its systems. Its strength comes from coordinating a scientific and industrial network so effectively that the network can deliver repeatable performance at the edge of physics. That is what ASML actually built. Not just machines, but a method for integrating extreme light, precision optics, motion, software, suppliers, and service into manufacturing capacity. The machines are the visible product. The harder asset to reproduce is the accumulated system that makes those machines work in production. The AI boom depends on that system indirectly, but materially. More computing ambition eventually becomes demand for physical wafers. Those wafers require hundreds of controlled steps. For critical layers in many advanced chips, EUV is part of the route, and ASML is currently the commercial supplier able to deliver it. The economic lesson reaches beyond semiconductors. High-margin businesses can form where one company becomes the trusted coordinator of complexity that no customer wants to manage alone. The advantage is strongest when the product improves through use, the supplier network is specialized, and failure carries enormous cost. ASML's position is not permanent by definition, and High-NA's future is not guaranteed by its specifications, but replacing this system would require more than copying a machine. It would require rebuilding the relationships, knowledge, calibration, logistics, and field experience that transformed difficult physics into dependable industrial output. So, the hidden machinery behind AI is not hidden because it is small. It is hidden because it sits several steps upstream, inside clean rooms and supplier networks far from the consumer story. Once those dependencies are visible, the AI boom looks less like pure software and more like a global manufacturing project. In the next Machines and Margins documentary, we will follow another industrial system whose quiet constraints shape the technology people see every day.